Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I am at least recording locally, and I'm confirming it through seeing the waveform and everything. I turned off all of the FaceTime-related blocks.
Yeah, I had turned off the FaceTime-related blocks one time because I had messed them up, and you were like, I don't even need them. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I stopped, and this was before Tahoe.
Yeah. I mean, as long as I know roughly where to line it up, it's not a big deal. It is easier with one of them to go by, but
do you want us to? We do want to clap or something?
Nah, it's all right. I should be able to figure it out pretty quickly, unless you've been recording for a long period.
I have my current recording is at 3 minutes and 53 seconds.
Okay, well, it's about 3 minute difference. That's good enough for me to figure it out.
Okay,
that's annoying though.
Yeah, right.
I'm really tired of random bugs introduced.
Yeah.
I don't even know where this one is. I wonder if there's some difference with, because I did update Sound Source, and I saw it had a ARC update, but I have not seen an audio hijack update since then.
Right. So what version of Sound Source are you on?
I don't know, because I have it closed at the moment.
Okay. So I have Sound Source. I don't know if there's I'm on 5.1, 5.8.13.
I can try launching it and see if we lose audio. Might as well
and I've
test.
Got ARC 13.0.1.
Yeah, Sound Source loaded and did not cut off audio, so that's a positive. I am currently running 6.0.4, and ARC is 13.0.3.
Oh, I'm behind on both of those. Is there an update that I don't know about?
Must be.
Yeah.
Anyway, fun. But I had to reinstall it because I had some odd audio issues with trying to do editing and playback, not wanting to do stuff through the right place. And it's like, oh, this is just a nuisance.
Bummer. That's such a pain in the ass.
Oh, as long as Sound Source doesn't break things, then I'm good leaving it anyway. So, fine. All right. Well, I guess first things first. How are you feeling? You don't sound too bad. So.
I'm feeling better today. Yeah. So Sunday, I woke up and I was just like, oh, now it's playing. Something's playing back. Oh, I was testing my recording. What is it? It's playing back somewhere. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I don't hear anything playing back.
Fuck. Hey, sorry about that.
It's all right. At least it means the recording will be closer.
Yeah. So, man, this is man, Tahoe. I'm gonna remember Tahoe as being one of the worst releases of Mac OS. It is really messed up, man.
I did notice the phone app keeps flashing up when you call, and it did not do before. So something else has changed there too.
Yeah. So I opened so it's messed up because like you can't just before I could just go to FaceTime and place a FaceTime audio call. Now when you go to FaceTime, it did this in the previous in Sequoia and every other revision that had FaceTime, and you open it up, it turns on your camera, and then as soon as you select FaceTime audio, you actually place a FaceTime audio call, it turns off the camera. Well, it doesn't do that anymore. And now what my computer did is I opened up FaceTime audio and it opens up the phone app. But if you open up the phone app and not FaceTime, you can't place a FaceTime audio call in a reasonable way that I have found. So it is a mess. I'll say it is a mess.
Yes, that very much so. I agree.
And it is.
And whatever's going on also has removed my ability to monitor myself. Well, actually, wait a minute. I think I might just have. Yeah, I turned down the volume all the way because it's such a delay with this convoluted shit that I hear myself almost a full second after speaking if I try to monitor.
That is not good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed here. And so I don't guess disk utility is going to be getting fixed anytime soon.
Nope, I find it very... Personally, I would be fine with them removing disk utility at this point if they would fix this stuff. Like I already have workarounds for disk utility. I'm about ready to find workarounds for this.
Do you use disk utility command line?
Nope.
Oh, you just use a completely different tool.
Yep.
Just basic Linux stuff. Just.
Well, I guess technically I do use disk utility if I want to force unmount something, because I do use the disk utility command line tool for that. But that's I don't normally have to.
So would you call that? So is the disk utility? So if you use, so I'm saying I'm just saying anything that is disk util as the disk utility command line is I'm not sure that that's a fair.
Yeah, I think that's accurate, because the last time I used it to unmount a volume instead of using what umount.
Okay, that would be the. That would
even
be,
though
that would what you'd be using in other NIC systems.
Yeah, even though I think it just calls umount under the hood anyway, but like I did use the disk util command when I did it. I would not have any problems not using the disk util command, though, is what it comes down to. Yeah,
because disk util, I have not had any issues using disk util commands, where disk utility will be problematic, and it's slightly better than when they so it was rock solid until they what did they do to it?
They rewrote it.
What? Did they rewrite it for APFS, or did they rewrite it after APFS?
I think they rewrote it for APFS.
Well, because everything they did with APFS is like impressive. You know, I can't remember what point release update it was, but they did a point release update on iOS. I think they did it on iOS first, and converted everyone's file system to APFS in the point update. And I didn't hear about any problems. I didn't even know they were doing it at the time.
Yeah, the rollout was great. It just
amazing.
The tools to access things are what suffered.
If it's like an end user that's like 5% of end users are going to experience problems with it, then because let's be honest, who uses disk utility? What percentage of Mac OS users use disk utility? It's not a large percent.
I'd honestly be more interested in how many remaining use it than anything. Like how many have actually, of the people who used to use it, how many have actually legitimately used it since without just swapping to something else? You know? Like, I mean, I certainly do. I don't use disk utility directly for anything anymore, hardly.
I have used it for something, but I did some things with like some external drives just because I was formatting to put installers on it, and that's about it. And it doesn't seem to be quite as problematic as it first was. So I gotta believe there's somebody inside of Apple who has a heart and a passion for disks and file systems that gets, I don't know, you think they get like 30 minutes or 45 minutes every year to work on disk utility?
I mean, I'm sure there's some sort of general maintenance and work being done. Like I don't think it's just completely neglected, but.
Well, no, I know it's not completely neglected. I'm saying they get at least 30 or 45 minutes per year to work on it.
Yeah, but I don't know if they really get that much.
You think it's less? You think it's maybe like 15 minutes a year?
Well, I just think that it's not a high enough priority, that it's more when something comes up, when something is known to be an issue, then they get it prioritized. And when it's just functionality, like making it better and more usable or more robust or whatever, that's just not prioritized.
I was trying to say that in a cheeky way. I know you got it, but you just didn't. You didn't indulge me.
Fair. But I think the reason is because if you're just allotted time, then you can be working on improving it, not just fixing whatever random one-off bug was prioritized for that. I didn't want to have the impression that someone actually got time to make it better.
I mean, fixing the problem. I mean, they did. It is slightly better than when it was re-released.
Yeah, but I think that's just a byproduct of other stuff. I don't think it was really. I mean, I think somebody was like,
"This is failing too much. You have try to fix it in one commit."
Maybe.
they got their commit in, and you know what? That engineer did a great job because it is slightly less unreliable. So what I'm trying to say is, and this is just me punching up, is that there's somebody out there that really would like to be working on this and making it like a very, just as robust as it was before the rewrite. And the man isn't letting them. That's the narrative I'm trying to weave here.
I would agree with that. And it actually makes my follow-up slightly strange because I have to retract some of my griping about Apple software ever so slightly. Not much. Oh, yeah? But last episode didn't age too well because the next day, as we were talking about it, not on the show, things were working the way I would have expected them, with it prompting me to download the new versions and not prompting me constantly to subscribe and all that stuff. And we're referencing the Creator Studio stuff for anybody keeping track.
Yes.
So I still say it's absolutely frustrating, the fact that it hit the wild at all, because that was a very annoying user experience that should have been avoided. But at least it was rectified within 24 hours of me dealing with it. Now, I assume it had been in the wild longer, and just because I kept refusing to bother going to the App Store to download it, I just didn't see it until last week as we recorded, basically. But either way.
And by the time I got to it, it was already resolved.
Yeah. So, I mean, props that they did fix it, and it's not a convoluted mess like it was, but it had to have been that way for
it shouldn't have
a longer period than it should have been. Yeah.
Yeah. It should never have rolled out that way.
Yeah.
It should have rolled out the way every other update has rolled out, and instead it replaces the new version replaces the old version. And you know what? You want to show me a splash screen about it? Give me a chance to decline it. Yeah. You want to showcase your new templates in front of me and be like, hey, if you join Creator Studio, you get these templates. Yeah, I'm even okay with that. Like, it's
all of that sounds reasonable,
right?
Now I will say I still have not updated Logic and have not reinstalled Final Cut Pro or Motion or Compressor or any of the other tools, because
I've only done iWork.
Yeah, I need to do the other ones, but now I'm annoyed enough that I just don't want to deal with it if it gives me some strange convoluted mix of stuff. Like, it was bad enough dealing with pages and numbers. I don't want to touch the rest of it.
To me, at this point, it's like don't update it until you're ready to use it, or when you know you're going to be using it. So, you know what else annoys me? I'll tell you what else annoys me. Because how could you possibly know? This is too niche. It annoys me that when Genmoji was first released, you could use Genmoji to create an emoji for a group chat as the picture in a group chat, and now you cannot. Like, they took that away sometime. We're on iOS 26. iOS 18 was the last one. They took it away sometime in iOS 18. It's real annoying.
I don't think I even knew that you could use it for a group chat. But then again, I also don't do a whole lot of group chats.
You could vary at when it came out, and sometime after that, you couldn't. You can't. Like, you currently can't, and I don't know when they took it away. And it's like the only thing that I've wanted to use it for. I've made a couple of things just to mess around with it, but really the only thing I've wanted to use it for is creating a bespoke, if you will, emoji for this group chat. Like, I want to make a Sherlock looking. I want to make a Jesus in a Sherlock hat for a group chat that I have, because it's called the group chat. I don't know why it was named this, but it was like, you can search Jesus, and that would be great, but it's not possible.
I don't think I've even used Genmoji other than playing with it the first day or so that it came out.
Well, if you've played with it the first day, then you could probably have made a thing, but now you can't. Anyway.
Almost seems like a didn't realize it was broken kind of bug. It's one of those things that sounds like it should, I can't see any reason why it shouldn't be something you could do.
Right.
So if it was ever there, it almost feels like that when they were doing all this other stuff in preparation for whatever rewrites and fixing they were doing of the phone app that is horrifically all sorts of fucked up on the iOS and the Mac at this point. Like, other things got broken. Like, I still don't have a phone app that actually refreshes when things happen sometimes.
Oh, wow. That's on your iPhone?
Yeah. Like, I'll get a call, and the only reason I know I get a call is because I saw it come in. I have to quit the phone app and then force it to refresh by reopening it, and then all of a sudden I'll see it.
Wow.
And it's whether I'm using the old classic view or the unified view. Like, it's the most frustrating rewrite of the app that I've ever seen. And it's absolutely absurd that the core functionality of a device, even if we don't use it that way, is that messed up.
Well, it's named for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's pretty bad. I have not experienced that issue. My issues with iOS have been relatively small and minimal.
That's the only one that I consistently run into.
That's a big issue.
And sometimes it happens on voicemails, sometimes it happens on just the phone, sometimes it happens on, it's never like an active call. If I answer the phone, I don't seem to have a problem. But if I miss a call or if it's a voicemail, then it's just as likely that I'll have to force quit the app and relaunch it to see it as it is that it'll be there.
I will say that somehow for whatever reason, I get a lot of, like, my number got sold somewhere, and it's been, I get a lot of junk phone calls, and I have, they're filtered out. I just have to go through. At the height of, it's not as bad as it used to be, but at the height, I was getting 10 to 15. I was having to delete 10 to 15 calls a day.
Oh yeah, I easily get more than that. So the only thing that spared me finally, so before we made the swap back to Verizon, with AT&T, they had the call filtering app that helped, because at least I could tell it to block stuff or send it to voicemail. Verizon's is a little bit better because I can tell it not to even send certain categories to voicemail. So I'll get the notification from Verizon's, but then there's no further notification because it doesn't ever actually get to the phone or voicemail system. So I think it's a better implementation, which has made my life drastically better, because now I only get maybe 2 or 3 a day that slip through that call filter. And that's if that. Like, most of the time it's just one a day. And it's almost always one that the iPhone will do its call screening thing, but then it's obviously a stupid implementation of the feature because it's a recording saying something that it puts as the screened message and then connects the call. Like, this kind of defeats the purpose of the whole ask the caller for more information if you can't recognize a pre-recorded message.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I actually think I think I get more of the calls that I'm deleting. I was going to correct myself and say I'm deleting 10 to 15. At the height of this, I was deleting 10 to 15 voicemails a day. And I think today I deleted less than, but weirdly, I saw a voicemail that presented as new from August. So it was something I had deleted in August.
That's interesting. I haven't seen that happen yet.
Yeah, that's like, how weird, right?
At this point, I put nothing past it. Like, there's so many little quality related issues at this point that I've become really annoyed and miffed with the state of Apple's software.
Yeah, but this is voicemails. That's on the carrier side as well, correct?
I don't know how
you don't. Yeah,
I don't know how all of that's implemented at this point. I would assume it's somewhat on the carrier side because it seems like it would make sense. But also, I wouldn't put it past Apple to have a cache of deleted stuff that somehow resurfaced.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that...
so they can sell us larger SSDs.
Probably.
Yeah, well.
I mean, I would have to imagine that it's a good faith kind of thing where if for whatever reason there was some, you know, life altering thing that you absolutely had to have and couldn't get back, maybe you could ship it off for data recovery and get something. Even that seems like a big stretch saying it, but you know, maybe there was some good reason that the thought process occurred, and maybe not. Maybe it was something on the carrier side where it didn't trigger the delete properly and finally resurfaced. I mean, who knows?
What is that saying? Don't attribute to malice what you can attribute to incompetence.
Well, there are multiple versions of that, aren't there? Because there's also like don't attribute to malice what you can attribute to what intention, good intention, or something.
Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm just replacing stupidity with incompetence.
Yeah, I mean, same difference. I think it fits.
You know, the other part of it, you know, there's. I came across this. I don't want to say I came across. I did come across, but it was passed along to me by my wife, and an article about how a lot of corporations are. What is it? I'm trying to remember exactly how it was put. They're mandating, or they're mandating return to office, or they're starting to enforce return to office mandates so that they get people to resign or leave their job so that they don't have to do a reduction in force and pay severance. They're trying to reduce staff size without paying severance by mandating return to office.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, it makes sense from a whole, like, this is what a corporate decision-making tree would do.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I'm making sure I should clarify, because it certainly doesn't make sense if you're being decent or human or anything else. But
well, if you're not treating your workers like an interchangeable component in a machine. So, yeah. Everybody.
And like,
it's gonna call. I mean, it's gonna correct at some point, but it's just been frustrating to live through it.
I agree. I mean, eventually it's going to catch up to the corporations, and there's no way it can't at some point, because the whole return to office fight has been going on for a while under a whole range of guises. You know, some of them more and more far-fetched than others, and some of them obvious ploys at just trying to control people in some way or another. All of that aside, there's a point where the sheer magnitude. Hold on. There's a point where the sheer magnitude of the divide between those who are living with any type of creature comforts and those who are struggling, being mandated to do all this stuff to try to make ends meet, just it can't. Eventually everything has to crumble. It's just what causes it. What's the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back? You know, like there are so many things wrong with the current system, and so many people exposing it in different ways, and so much chatter about it. It can't continue unchecked. It just can't.
Yeah, I don't remember if did I send you the video of the man being interviewed in New York about the blizzard, and he kept saying he kept bringing up the problem with hedge funds and corporate house ownership.
No, I don't remember seeing this.
I think I'd like to send it to you right now, and you insert, and I'll capture the audio so that you can insert it in right here. But this guy was perfect. I mean, like he's a Bernie Sanders. Like he stays on message, man. He didn't change his message at all. Right, you should have it in your. Is it easy for you to get to your Instagram inbox, or should I send it to your iMessage?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up on Instagram. I just have to move one cup so I can hear.
There's still people out in doorways looking for shelter, and I think a lot of people think this is why we shouldn't allow hedge funds to own residential property.
And so what we were talking about earlier, too, is a little bit of the nostalgia aspect, right?
Yeah.
How this feels kind of like back in the 90s when we were growing up.
Yeah, like we were saying, it was much more snow, colder winters. And again, private equity didn't own so much of the housing stock in America.
Thank you so much, Kyle.
And she just walks away.
I mean, that's the way it's got to be done at this point.
You just don't take your foot off the pedal.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't put it all the way. You can't put the pedal to the metal, but don't take your foot off the pedal. So, I never did finish. I was gonna say, Sunday I was out. Monday I was, Sunday I slept most of the day, and Monday I slept late. I took the day off from work, slept late, and just felt like I'm glad I did. Good relaxing. And then was today Tuesday? Yesterday was Tuesday. I think I took yesterday off as well. Took care, went in, took care of some emails, and then today I worked about a half a day. On Sunday, Becca, I had paused my rings. I'd paused my rings from Sunday. I've paused them every day since Sunday on in the fitness app. But Becca was like, you're a record. Yeah, I think I was at 699 straight days of closing my ring, my move ring. So she took my watch for a walk, and I was like, I didn't do it though. And she's like, yeah, you're right, but I was just like, oh man, Jesse's gonna see that, and they're gonna think that we bailed on coffee, and it wasn't, and I'm not as sick as I couldn't go to coffee, but
Well, no, it worked out. I know I'd sent a message. Jacob ended up with a sore throat and a head cold, and it seems to have bounced back pretty quickly. But I think we would have sent the message shortly later if you had not. So
well, it wasn't meant to be. But before I got on the call, when I was coming upstairs, Becca was like, "Reschedule coffee," and I was like, "Okay, I'll talk to him."
Yeah, we tend to have I guess Saturdays can be questionable. Most Sundays are open. We don't tend to schedule a whole lot on Sunday. It tends to be the wrap up anything that we didn't finish Saturday day. But most Saturdays are pretty open.
Yeah, well, I was going to say soccer's probably going to start. Well, I know practices started up for my kids.
Ours have not yet. We've registration closed, but I think we're delayed by them needing one or two coaches still, which seems to happen every season.
Yikes! So yeah, Luke's he started last night, and Jude started tonight, and but games we don't have a schedule yet, so no games this weekend. Obviously, I don't think it's probably going to be a few weeks before games start, but Luke told me, he was like, I think this is going to be my last season. I was like, okay. He's like, I'm not loving it, and he's like, but I wanted to play with my friend, and I was like, okay, that's a good reason to want to play. So,
yeah,
he just wants the game, and I'm like, it's really interesting because he is relatively, if he does this, I'm gonna have to talk to him about getting outside of it, but it's a social thing for him. Like today, he spent a few hours playing Minecraft with, I don't know, at least three or four of his friends, and they're on the phone while they're playing Minecraft. I'm not sure why they're not talking through the server, but that's because I don't know about how they play Minecraft. So, and I don't want to intervene too much because I want him to figure things out. Because I don't want him to be the butterfly that I helped open the chrysalis for. And but he makes good grades, so I think the thing that I'm gonna have to. Oh, and then if his friends want to do something socially, he goes and hangs out with his friends. So I can't really fault him for, I can't be like, you're playing too many video games, because again, he's making good grades you know, I think right now he's got A's in all of his classes. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly don't have the social aspect with gaming at the moment, but I wouldn't expect us to for another year or two before that question comes up anyway. Like right now, if they want to play together, they get together in person because they're playing
Right.
single player games anyway.
Right.
So like two or three of them will play sitting next to each other on the Switch, for example. But I mean, if left to his own devices, I don't know that he would go outside very often at this point. It's the kind of thing that we have to either remind him sometimes, or, I mean, in fairness, a lot of times when he's not going outside, it's bad weather or cold. So it's tough to really fault that as well.
Right.
And he, of course, gets outside time at school and then outside time during soccer season anyway. And when his friends get together, it's always mixed. Sometimes it's playing outside and sometimes it's playing inside.
Yeah. I see him doing this for maybe through high school, but I see like going to college, I totally see him being a person who is on doing the same things that I did. Like I remember I remember playing with a group of people. I think it was every Thursday night we played Ultimate Frisbee. And it was just an impromptu game. It was like nothing official. It was just people who wanted to play. I knew someone who played, and he invited me to play. And it's a pickup game of Ultimate Frisbee every Thursday night. And this was actually at Sanford, on the football field. And
the funny thing is we had a group that did that, but it was not related to the college at all. It was all a mixed case of people who just happened to know each other professionally who got together and played instead.
Yeah.
But we used a college field.
Yeah, this was kind of the same thing. It wasn't at all sponsored by the college. It just happened to be mostly Sanford kids, and they invited friends, and so I came, and I remember bringing a friend a couple of times, but it was Thursday nights, but it was like at 10 o'clock at night. So yeah,
I don't remember which day we played, but we played late as well. I think it was like we didn't start until 8.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I played intramural soccer at Purchase, that it started at 9. The first game started. There were 3 games every night, so it was a 9 o'clock, a 10 o'clock, and an 11 o'clock game, and they're each about an hour long. And I just remember my mom was like, "You're going at 11 to play?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I just didn't think anything of it. I get now where she was coming from. But, when you're in college, like 11 o'clock, I mean, like sometimes you only see 11 o'clock once a day, just depending on what your schedule's like.
Yeah.
Because, when you're, college is, that age, it's like if you go to college, that is like the most amount of freedom with the least amount of responsibility for most students. Because when you have a job at the time, even if you have a job, it's usually you don't have the same expectations as a career job as a full-time employee, and you don't have your parents telling you what to do. Not until they see your grades. And I was like, I just remember I started out at a junior college. My dad wanted me to start out there. He was like, his logic was they give you a list of core classes, and they're guaranteed to transfer to a 4-year state school. So he's like, why would I pay? He's like, I'm getting these classes on discount. I'm like, why would I basically it was like, why would I overpay for these classes? So they sent me to a junior college, and I don't think that they were entirely wrong for doing that, but I do feel like I missed out on the fundamental college experience. But I got it back in some semblance of it later on in life. But it was interesting to see the kids who were there so when I started in the autumn semester, it was like I met some kids who did 1 year. They did 1 year at a 4-year school, and their parents were like, "No, you're going to college, but you're not going back to, you're staying at home and you're going to this college because you did not choose wisely." And then there would be the kids who like went in the spring semester. You'd meet the kids who went 1 semester and then they got pulled out and sent to junior college. It was an interesting thing. I did know of somebody who joked about their older brother went to Auburn for, back when they were on quarters. They went to Auburn for 1 quarter, majored in Panama City Beach, and then did not go back for any other quarters and took a new career route.
Yeah, I had a very different college experience because I did go just out of high school, but I was only there for 2 quarters before, or was it 3? It might have been 3 quarters. It wasn't long, but I think it was 3.
3 quarters.
Quarter.
It was 3 quarters a full year?
Yeah.
Okay. No. It was 4 quarters is a full year, and then there's a 5th quarter for summer? Or no?
No, 3 quarters. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look at the scheduling. I know that I did not have a full year completed before I got into a rather heated altercation with the registrar's office and a professor.
No,
left.
not you.
Yeah, I know. Who would have thought?
Okay. So what was the first school you went to?
Columbus College.
In Columbus, Ohio? I mean, Columbus, Georgia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which later became Columbus State University when it became a part of the university system of Georgia. And at that point, they moved from the quarter system to the semester system. I think you missed part of that because you coughed.
No, I actually did hear all of it.
Okay. And so after they became Columbus State University, some years passed, and then I went back and finished my degree at the same college, but under the new name and system.
What'd you do in the interim?
Established my career in IT.
Okay. Nice.
And then the only reason I went back was because I had established my career and made it successful and then proved my point. And so then I could go back and get the behavioral sciences stuff to prove that I knew what I was talking about there. Like all of my educational career was spite driven.
I feel like the phrase may your way be lit by the bridges you burn fits.
Sometimes, yes.
But
I did then choose to get a master's with the behavioral science stuff. So I guess something came out of it.
And so, your master's was at Cincinnati?
Correct.
State?
University of Cincinnati. Yeah.
University of Cincinnati. Did you ever live in Ohio?
I did not.
Okay.
Because it was in recent enough history, I waited until Cincinnati had firmly established their distance learning program. So my only actual visit to the campus was for graduation ceremonies.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, I did. What is it? From the movie Tommy Boy, where he says something along the lines of, some people go to school for 8 years, and David Spade's character is like, yeah, they're called doctors, because he took, he spent a lot of time. Yeah, I did not. I went through I did a thing where, I think I did, 18 semesters of college. A ridiculous number of semesters. Because I kept trying to make something work that wasn't ever going to work. It wasn't that I was, I wasn't failing. I just wasn't, I kept retaking classes because I needed better grades, because I thought I wanted to do something in the field of biology. And it's fairly ridiculous. And I should have, I don't know. I mean, I am where I am, but it seems like if I could have whatever the hindsight is, I don't know why I didn't go and study computer science. I would have loved that. I would have excelled it. It would have been a piece of cake for me. Like I struggled through biology classes. And by struggle, I mean that I loved what I was learning and I knew what I was learning, but I can remember some classes, like I worked hard for some C's, and then there were some other classes, like they were easy A's. And when I decided that I wasn't going to be a biologist, I was done in a year. I only needed 2 semesters, and I was on the dean's list both semesters. I wasn't even trying that hard. And if I'd actually tried just slightly harder, I think I would have gotten on the president's list. I don't know. I was also working full time, and I went to a junior college for 2 years. I went to UAB for 4 years, and then I went to Purchase University for 3 years. Yeah, that adds up. Yep. And I enjoy. It's like I enjoy. Actually, I think I did better in. Well, did I do better in chemistry? I think I did better in chemistry than I did biology, but it didn't matter. That's not what I loved, and I think that if I had studied computer science, I would have been fine I would have had a regular 4-year experience. But I never lived on campus, and I wish I didn't have that kind of experience, and I didn't live on my own. I wish I, or I didn't live with friends. I wish I had that experience. I didn't, and I look at my kids because it's not going. I'm 3 years and 1 semester away from my first child graduating from high school, and that's gonna fly by pretty quick. And I think about how right now getting a college degree is not the strength that it was even when you and I were in college, because our college years would have overlapped, because you graduated from high school in 97, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and I graduated in 99. I think that even then it was thought to be stronger, but 10 years earlier, it was a much stronger. Having a degree was a lot more powerful than it was, in the late 80s than it was in the late 90s, and so I think the experience is really good, but I want to prepare them to consider once you go to college and have that experience, depending on what you learn and where you go. I don't want to tell you not that it's going to be hopeless, because I don't know that it is going to be. I don't, if they were graduating in May, I would say, yeah, go to college. It's a great experience. You will learn how to think. You will learn how to do things in your life. It is a good introduction to life, because I think the college experience does lend itself for a gentle entrance into the adult world. But the point I was going to drive towards is that I think that it's not unreasonable to consider learning a trade after college for kids these days.
I don't think it's ever been unreasonable to. I think it just didn't get looked at in a way that compared to the way people really talked about degrees.
Yeah.
And it should have. And I mean, in hindsight and just general understanding fluctuations market-wise, I don't think you ever could have made the case that it wasn't just as viable. It just didn't feel as prestigious until essentially other things and other factors eliminated the worth of degrees compared to.
Yes.
At this point,
that's a really good point.
Because at this point, if you do anything and put your mind to it, you can be successful to an extent, assuming the market can bear it. But if you can critically think on the fly, to be able to adjust things in the way that makes sense for you, then I think it still stands that you can be successful whatever you choose to do. You just have to kind of figure out what it is to make it be successful. Like at this point, it's more marketing and networking and things of that nature that are abstract that you can learn on the fly just as much as you can learn in a classroom.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure that captures it the way I'm trying to capture it either, because it's.
No, I think I think so, because even now I have a friend that I graduated high school with who has been he went on and got his PhD, and he's been in academia for his entire career. And I remember having a discussion with him a few weeks ago, and he was talking about how the colleges are changing. It's not the same place it was even when you and I were in college. And so, yeah, it's still think it's a valuable experience, worth them, well, I don't know how much it's going to cost, but, I told my kids they can definitely go to any school to get a full ride to. I wouldn't stop them, which seems like a joke. I mean, it is a joke, but you know what? There are people in this world who is like, I'd rather pay, okay, you got a full ride to this school, but I'd rather pay money for you to go to my alma mater, like me. I'm like, mother, what is that about? I mean, that is just some.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things that are wrong with that mentality.
That is just, I mean,
I guarantee you could look at those people and see a pattern of controlling behavior. Not necessarily maliciously, but that's what drives it. Or living vicariously through their kids. That's the other thing that drives it. One of those two things.
It's the or thinking that, oh, I had such a great experience, and if my kids don't go to the same school that I went to, they won't have the experience that I want them to have. The exact same great experience I had. Or there's a whole bunch of the reasons you mentioned, the reason I just mentioned, and others that we haven't mentioned. There's a lot of reasons that people would do that, but what you're getting to, I think it is a control thing. So,
yeah, I'm torn in general about college, and it's not. For all of my... Okay. I'm torn about college because I have no faith in the education system anyway, and I never enjoyed any aspect of it from the standpoint of what it taught educationally, because I didn't learn anything I didn't already know. But
you're a pretty smart person, though, so...
But this is also the problem. I only did the college thing because I got tired of people telling me I didn't know what I knew because I had self-studied. It's a different scenario altogether. So I am grateful for portions of my college experience. And there are things that I learned that weren't necessarily specific to the knowledge that I was trying to learn. It was more about how to put together certain things, or, the ways in which putting together a research paper make more sense, or, whatever. Like there are pieces to it that I certainly could have figured out as well, but it was kind of cemented as a result of my academic journey. But the core knowledge that I sought, I had already learned. And that to me was problematic, because here I was paying, somebody was paying money for me to get a degree in stuff that I already knew, only so I could have a piece of paper that proved I knew what I already knew I knew. But again, I recognized that my journey was very different because it was very spite driven anyway. So I do have trouble with college, but I don't have trouble with college if he gets a full ride, or even most of one, if there's... There are plenty of scenarios where it's fine if that's the choice that he wants to make. But I'm very much in a state where if that's not what you want to do, then don't do it. Do something that you do want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I've told my kids, I was like, I think it's a great experience. I think that if you're not sure what you want to do, it's a great place to go spend some money and figure out what it is that you want to do. And
yeah, I agree.
It's not a time to go waste any money, and it's not good to go waste your time. But it's a good coming of age experience, and the degree that you get is never going to hold you back. Not having a degree could be a problem. You may have to work a little harder to prove yourself if you don't have a degree, But and just because you have a degree doesn't mean doors will open for you, because they give those out for enough money, but it won't hold you back.
Yeah,
So.
and there are certainly still some fields where if you decide that's a path you want to go, your only avenue is to go through.
That's true.
The education system.
Absolutely
so
true.
it's certainly worth it to at least have the beginnings of that journey complete. Like, I'm even fine if you say, I want a limited version of the college experience. Just get an associate's degree. Take care of the couple of years of core curriculum that everybody requires, so that if you decide you want to do something later, you're already partway there.
Yeah. I think even if, can you get an associate's degree at a 4-year school? Do they offer those?
It all depends on what the school decides to offer, but yeah. You can, as long as the school offers it.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know if any schools offered that, so, or any 4-year schools offered shorter degrees. So, but yeah, I think I've told my kids, you don't have to decide now. I was just like, if you have some idea that you want to do something in the natural sciences, then take the harder. You got to take the advanced math classes, science courses now. That just sets you up for being able to move forward and prepared for something that requires these types of classes. I think both my kids know that there's no reason to take any AP classes. It's better to take, I know that at some point, I know that at the high school that Luke is going to, if he finishes whatever his requirements for the high school degree, there's a point where I think his senior year, he can actually start taking college courses. Like, instead of going to the high school, he can go to a local college and take a college to fulfill his hours at high school. He's already that far ahead in college.
Yeah, I did 3 AP courses. Yeah, I did AP English and AP Calculus in high school. All that really meant is that I could skip English 101 in the long run, and I did not have to take, I think it was college algebra. I think it was Algebra 101 as well.
I did want to hear about if you've got the time. I know we need to wrap up relatively soon, but I do want to hear about, well, when I saw that you put Peak Watch on here, my first thought was, you saw that there's going to be a new Kickstarter. Peak Design has a new Kickstarter coming out on Tuesday. And I was like, duh. No, that's not what it was.
I started looking at them. I know we had talked briefly about them, and I had looked at Sonar once before, but I started looking at them recently because I was trying to figure out a better method for understanding when I'm reaching that overtraining plateau in general, because I've never bothered worrying about it. I've always just based it on how my body felt, which is not necessarily accurate either. And so I thought, okay, well, let's look at a lot of these different things, because they all, in some level or at some level, try to give you insight into what you should target for a training measure on a day based on recovery and everything else. And so I already had Sonar installed. I've used it, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. It was the only one that I had looked at, and I just liked the general interface, but I never really looked that close at it. I installed it just to install a widget to give a rough idea of strain and recovery numbers without having to go into the app. But I went ahead and installed Bevel and Peak Watch. And Bevel is nice from the standpoint that they reduced any cost associated to use it, except for like the AI type of features. So things for like recommendations and other insights you pay for, like you do with all of them. But just looking at the basic dashboard is free. And I know Peakwatch has a very, very limited dashboard you can look at without paying for anything. And all of the other stuff gets confusing because it seems to be showing demo data unless you pay for the features. So I'm not a big fan of their approach, but it led to some cursory looking at things that were reported and trying to figure out which one I might want to trust with trying out for let this guide my decision making for a little while. Now I will probably default to Sonar because when I decided to try it, I went ahead and paid for a year of it for its feature set at the time that I decided to try it. So I'll probably let that year run out before I make any change. But so far, it's been the most accurate with regard to reporting other data. And I don't know how much of that is because it's the paid version versus the limited dashboard thing, and how much of it is just a difference in the way the app works and everything else. But a couple of the things I noticed across the board were that data that should be somewhat objective, such as resting heart rate, to pick on one that we talked about briefly, is reported differently in a couple of the different apps. And it makes no sense to me that it would be, unless you're doing your own intermediary calculation instead of reading the data. I have no clue what's going on there. So that threw me off, which makes me question data integrity and accuracy of other things in your app. But in all of them, even though they report them differently, as far as strain and stress and recovery, all of the numbers are proportionally relatively in line with each other. So while the numbers aren't accurate from one app to another, which I would not expect anyway, because each one's doing their own assessment of what each of those things mean, but generally speaking, they do line up. If I were to pick one and use it as a guideline, it tends to line up with the other ones. Maybe not as cleanly as you would like. For example, Sonar refers to it as strain, and they've got a target window. Bevel, I think, also refers to it as strain, actually. But Peakwatch has the training intensity thing that it references. And all of them give a target on that level of measurement, but that target doesn't seem to line up cleanly with each other. But it does seem to somewhat line up relatively proportionally correct with the other measurements that each of the individual apps calculate. Kind of difficult to follow, I know, but the idea is that if you were to pick one, I think you would be okay going by its recommendations, just like you would be okay going by any of the other ones. It's just none of it is going to be elite level athlete tracking and recommendations. All of it is very much a general level of fitness with some wiggle room type thing.
That seems,
Yeah, I was trying to think if there was any other way I would summarize it, and all of it seems like the kind of thing that you would expect this type of app to do. I'm not expecting to have electrodes strapped to me and get some really, in-depth analysis of heart rhythm or something.
It's
as an example.
It's a metric, and it's. I would expect that the important thing is being able to measure something consistently, relative to itself. So,
yeah, it's the same approach that I took with making the decision on using the Apple Watch with its metrics for activity and exercise and all. Is if I'm going to compare, I need to be able to compare to the same thing measuring consistently, not compare Apple to Garmin, right, or Polar or somebody else.
Let me look at this data set.
Right. The only thing that I find frustrating with all of them except for Sonar is that a lot of times I will track, the past couple of days I've done rowing workouts because I'm this Saturday, I'll be competing in Gardendale. It's the first local version of a Gracie Baja specific tournament that's being done, that's being organized by the people that I am, dealing with as far as the school owners and all. There's a relationship there, and so since they're the ones sponsoring it and organizing it, I decided, all right, fine, I'll support and compete as well. And so this week, rowing tends to be a real easy way for me to stay active, but make sure that I'm hitting whatever weight cutoff I want to hit for competition. And I only have maybe 2 pounds that I need to change, but I need to keep that 2 pounds off and not walk around at my normal 180 to hit the 181 cutoff with the gi and everything on. And so rowing is a really good way for me to immediately drop essentially water weight that I'm carrying around. That's what it comes down to, without it being unhealthy. And so when I row, a lot of times I will track it in 2 ways when I do the workout, because I have what they call Smart Row, which is it's a pulley on the rower that has a sensor in it to track the curve for the actual rowing metrics themselves, but also uses an app on the watch to send heart rate data to that app so it can track everything for the workout. But then I also tend to track with a regular standalone heart rate sensor, just because I don't actually have a good reason other than I can, and I like doing it. And so I'll have 2 workouts defined as a result of tracking that data. Well, Peak Watch and Bevel both then show me double the amount of time that I'm working out as what I'm actually working out. Whereas Apple, while it will show me both workouts, merges that data because it recognizes it's the same workout. It's just tracked 2 different ways. And Sonar reports the one workout version, meaning that apparently they are getting the information reported via Apple Health and not just reading the native data. And so there's obviously a difference in implementation there, which may contribute to some of the discrepancies between the apps as well. But long story to get to, that's one thing I do like about Sonar is that it does report the singular workout instead of doubling it, whereas the others I have to have the number of exercise minutes if I'm actually looking at it.
I wonder why the others aren't able to.
I'm sure it has something to do with the implementation choice, because so Smart Row records it as an indoor rowing workout. The current heart rate monitor I'm using, the only reason I'm actually still using it separately is because it's tied to the Whoop ecosystem, because I was trying it for jiu-jitsu. And so I'll wear the Whoop band, which means that the Whoop app interprets that data and then saves it to Apple Health as well. And that's how you get the heart rate data, instead of it being just straight heart rate data being stored. And so I'm sure that convolutes it, because the Whoop thing just saves it as a rowing workout in its app. It's the only option you can choose, which translates it into an outdoor rowing workout in Apple Health. So I'm sure because it has a different tag to it, if you will, for the type of workout, that's why the other apps pick it up as 2 separate workouts, even though it's the exact same timestamps for start and stop, which is, I think, where I'm annoyed by it, that wasn't thought of as all right, it might be tracked as 2 different workouts, but if it has the same exact timestamps, then we need to treat it as one, which I think is what Apple does under the hood. I think that with theirs, as long as it's the same start and stop times, they merge it. Or if they overlap, I think they merge it. I don't think I've ever had 2 workouts tracked that weren't over the exact same time frame, though. So I don't know that I would have encountered a scenario where they didn't have the same start and stop time at this point the way I've done it. Because typically speaking, the only time I'm not tracking it with the watch is if I'm doing the rowing workout specifically, just because I like the more frequent heart rate updates than what just the watch gives using an app to that Smart Row ecosystem. Even though it does seem to be pretty frequent. It seems like the app just doesn't register the updates as fast, which I'm sure is tied to display refresh and all that stuff. So it doesn't seem to be a problem with the data that's tracked. It just seems to be a problem with what I see. And then, of course, I don't wear the watch when I'm on the mats because I can't. So
Right.
But I can wear the other heart rate monitor because it goes around the arm. But anyway, kind of a long-winded way of saying I think that any of the apps will serve anybody well for what they do. You just should be aware of whatever drawbacks based on which one you choose to use and how you choose to track your data. I think that's all I've got on those, at least for now, until I play with them more. But
which gave you the best?
Sonar has been the most accurate that I've seen. Bevel seems to also record it appropriately, I think. Let me look. Because to be fair, I haven't looked that close because I'm trusting the numbers from Apple Health at that point. And so what I'm really looking at with the other apps isn't the same stuff that I would view from the health dashboard. But like right now, Bevel reports resting heart rate at 55. Peak Watch reports it at 47. And Sonar reports it at 47. So Bevel seems to be the one that's skewed pretty consistently. Sonar has been consistent with how it's reported it with the same number that Apple Health reports. And I have not confirmed it often enough with Peak Watch to know for sure if they differ, but it seems like I have seen them differ by a beat or two, which could just be based on like refreshing underlying data. Like 1 or 2 beats per minute, I'm not too concerned. When it's, 7-ish, that makes me worry a little bit about what you're doing to calculate that and why it's so different. I think I like the way Peak Watch tries to give you like the pace of aging stuff and all that Whoop does, which is part of why I wanted to try it out. I don't know that it really matters because it seems to differ. Like Whoop tells me I'm older than I am, and everything else tells me I'm younger than I am. So I don't really understand the algorithms they're using to figure it out. I have noticed that Whoop relies on certain activities to reduce it. So if you're not doing the type of activity they want you to do for their purposes, then it does not count that as aging less quickly, whereas the others don't seem to be quite as rigid in how they calculate it. I don't know. It's not something I put a lot of stock in anyway, but it's just an interesting observation.
Well, I do remember a statistician saying that you can tell anything you want with the stats that you want.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, Whoop does at least do a good job of showing you the things that their stuff contributes to that calculation. So like one of the things that they have as a thing to lower your pace of aging is to spend X number of minutes in zone 4 for the week. And if you do it consistently, then that lowers your pace of aging, I think is how they refer to it. My heart rate just doesn't get that high that often. I can push myself hard and not get zone 4. Or at least not more than, a few seconds before it kind of settles back into high zone 3. And I think that's great. I love that. I would rather it be that way than to, chug along for 10 minutes in zone 4.
Yeah.
But as a result, I know that that's not giving me an accurate read on how they're defining pace of aging.
Right.
But since I understand it, I don't really care. It's
right.
We have a number of different ways set up for you to get in touch with us to provide feedback, ask questions, or just comment in about something we've discussed.
You can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at untitled_hosts, or shoot an email over to untitled.hosts@gmail.com.
Or get in touch directly with Jesse at jthart.com, or get in touch with me, John, via telepathy.
If you would like to support our work or are interested in listening to our new after-show feed, head over to patreon.com/theUntitledPodcast and take a look at the options we have set up.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you've enjoyed the show.
And we hope to connect with more of you as we continue this journey.
That's a wrap.